Hello, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? My name is Prodigy, and welcome to another episode of the Datascape, the newest Kingdom Hearts podcast on the block. Today, guys, I'm joined by my co-host Noir, Lil Bomber, and today we're going to be talking about Disney. Yeah, we're going to be talking about Disney worlds in Kingdom Hearts, their importance to the story, the narrative. That is the topic of today's episode. This is a pretty controversial topic in the Kingdom Hearts community sometimes, because ever since Kingdom Hearts 3, and admittedly a little bit before Kingdom Hearts 3, but it definitely escalated after 3, there's been a heavy discussion about Disney worlds and their importance to the overall narrative. Just how fun are they? Like, is it worth, like, is the benefit, do the goods outweigh, like, the cons of Disney worlds? Are Kingdom Hearts characters popular enough to just stand on their own, not have Disney involved, not have Moana, Frozen? Some people are, getting older too. So there's a lot of things to consider here. Anyways, we'd like to start us off, Noir. Like, just how do you feel regarding Disney in Kingdom Hearts 3, Kingdom Hearts 4? What do you think the franchise or the series director should do in regards to, like, addressing this criticism when it comes to Disney World? Like, them maybe being I don't know, they almost feel like a pit stop from the story in certain games sometimes, and fans don't quite like that. They want to get their lore.
Yeah, no, I absolutely understand the negative feelings towards Disney World in Kingdom Hearts games. I am someone that definitely has been a part of that conversation for a while. I actually just recently came across someone on TikTok who was speaking about Kingdom Hearts 3 and how they liked Kingdom Hearts 3 and how they integrated certain Disney worlds, and how and then one guy had commented how the Kingdom Hearts games, more or less, he said basically the Kingdom Hearts 3 worlds, just like a lot of the other games, felt like pit stops and felt like filler. And I couldn't help myself but reply to him. I'm like, dude, Kingdom Hearts 3 had some of the best Disney integration in the entire series. But
Definitely from a
moving on,
gameplay perspective, do you agree with that story-wise as well?
story wise, absolutely.
Okay.
Because and I was really thinking about this. So the main thing when it comes to Disney worlds in Kingdom Hearts is the fact that for a long time, since Kingdom Hearts 2, I should say, Disney worlds didn't really have too much of relevance towards the overall plot. So that's where the whole filler stuff came in. There was literally nothing in some of the visits that had anything to do with the overall plot. Like, they might fit themes. Like, Kingdom Hearts 2 did a good job, at least, with the themes of identity and duality in each Disney world. Like, they at least did a good job with that, while not connecting too much of the overall plot. But you look at games like Birth by Sleep, it's very hard for you to defend those worlds and not call it filler. So I think what needs to be done moving forward, because Disney Worlds are not going away. Kingdom Hearts is property. Disney Worlds basically make up half of the Hearts game. That they're not going away. So what needs to happen is basically what they did in Kingdom Hearts 3. So they need to find a way to not only make the world fit theme of the overall game's story and narrative, but it also needs to have some consequences or something gained or lost for the overall plot that's in those Disney worlds that has to do with the overall plot. Because every world in Kingdom Hearts 3, in my opinion, did it one of the best ways, right? The only other world I can think of, or the only other Kingdom Hearts game I can think of that did Disney integration with the overall plot better than 3 is the original game.
Yeah. I would agree with you on that. I actually, to expand on what you said a little bit, I kind of think Kingdom Hearts 3, while they have some of my favorite Disney Worlds in the franchise, and it's not because of the story integration necessarily. It's just because what I want out of Disney Worlds in Kingdom Hearts, I think Kingdom Hearts 3 does the best. I do care a lot about story in these Disney Worlds, and I do think Kingdom Hearts 3 does a pretty good job with the story. I think they kind of fumbled a little bit because we had a big discussion about this in one of my Lore Talk live streams recently. Um, the power of waking in Kingdom Hearts 3 was set up as the quote reason Sora was visiting these worlds, but really it was just kind of like, I guess, essentially a red herring because Sora doesn't get the power of waking in the Disney World. We knew that going in though. Like they're not gonna find the power of waking, randomly going to Tangled. That might be cool, but like that's probably not gonna happen. It's obviously one of those plot points where Sora he gains it when he needs it most. And some people don't like stories like that though. But that's definitely what that plot point was set up to be. But aside from that, what the Disney Worlds did do in Kingdom Hearts 3 was all of them had some sort of theme about the three hearts inside of Sora. Roxas, Xion, Ventus, Toy Box, being a lot about Xion, Roxas. You get a lot of references to Roxas and San Francisco, just that vibe of hanging out with friends and like just, chilling, having fun. That's what the whole scene on the Golden Gate Bridge was all about. And then you obviously have the cutscene with Vanitas in Monstropolis. And another detail is I think Kingdom Hearts 3's worlds heavily suffered from the trailers, at least for like the initial fans who played the game, because I pointed this out on live stream. They spoiled every single organization member in trailers. Imagine if you played Kingdom Hearts 3 for the first time and like you're one of these fans who are just getting to the series now with the all-in-one collection, and you play through the whole franchise. You finally get to Kingdom Hearts 3, finish the Dark Seeker saga, and you see like Vanitas for the first time since like Birth by Sleep, like 3-4 games ago. Or you see freaking Marluxia for the first time since Chain of Memories. But they spoiled all these things in trailers. Not only did they spoil every org member in KH3, they even spoiled the bench warmers. Even Vexen and Demix were shown in Kingdom Hearts 3 trailers. So they not only showed the main like people, they showed even the bench warmers that like we couldn't even we didn't even know like what the heck were they doing there. But despite all that, KH3 I think did a good job at revealing org members, revealing like slight plans everyone had in the organization, while also kind of like catching up Sora on the three hearts within him, on like kind of catching up players on what's going on, what's happening. Like that whole like Sora would not have known about Ventus, or at least not to that degree, without that Vanitas cutscene. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Things like that matter a lot because how like Aqua would have had to tell him when she got saved in that scenario, which that would have been fine too, I guess. But it was cool that happened in Disney World. Also, one thing people don't
you could
think
argue
about.
that how would Aqua even know
Yeah,
that
you're right.
Van
Actually,
Hart
you're absolutely right.
because the only person who could have known was Vanitas, so he had to be the person to tell Sora. And you mentioned that the worlds, their theming had to do a lot with the three hearts. I'd actually venture to say that the theming with the worlds had to do with the idea of love and sacrifice.
Yeah, there's definitely many
Because
things covered.
because that was a major thing at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, especially with Sora sacrificing himself to save Kairi. Every Disney World in some way, shape, or form had to deal with sacrifice for those you care for. Hercules gave up godhood for Meg. The toys that we meet in the toy box, they sacrificed their very limited time with Andy to be with us.
They did do that at the
And
end, didn't they? Huh? They were like fine with not seeing Andy for not fine, but they were okay with not seeing Andy for a little
they
bit.
were
To hang out
okay with
Sora.
being separated from him for a little bit, even though they do care about him.
And Buzz
They
literally fell to dark, like he basically fell to darkness, like because of like
Yes.
the Andy being gone. So
Kingdom of Corona, everyone knows the plot, everyone knows the love and sacrifice with that one. Same with Arendelle. Uh, Sully and Mike had to sacrifice their time with Boo to keep her safe. Um, when you look at the Caribbean, uh, Jack. For those that don't know the plot of the Pirates of the Caribbean, when you see Davy Jones's heart get stabbed, you see it's done with Will's hand and not Jack's hand, because whoever stabs Davy Jones' heart becomes the new captain
Yeah.
of the Flying Dutchman.
If you don't know
So
the
Jack,
if you don't know the themes of the Pirates of the Caribbean story, that basically Will sacrifice his freedom completely. I know the game, because it's skipped to at World's End, you're not quite sure about that, but that's kind of what happens. Will literally cannot touch land like again. You know what I mean? Like he can't
unless it's
touch
like the
land or
one
like
day
for a
within
while.
10 years,
Yeah.
like the one day in 10 years he's allowed to. And also, Jack was initially planning to become the new captain of the Flying Dutchman, but he sacrificed that position to save Will's life.
Right.
Right? Because again, you see that he had Will's hand be the one to stab Davy Jones's heart, not Jack, even though he could have done it. He made a sacrifice. And then in San Francisco, Hero had to sacrifice the original Baymax chip, which they treated as like his original heart, to stop Baymax from hurting people. So there was always this love and sacrifice kind of.
I was also about to say, because they're talking about love and sacrifice, because this obviously leads towards the big sacrifice Sora makes towards the end for Kyrie. Um, Kingdom Hearts 3, there was so much foreshadowing towards the ending throughout like a lot of the Disney worlds. Like think about those cutscenes with Zigbar, with young Xehanort, like with these Secrets of Darkness who are kind of like egging Sora towards his death essentially. Like especially the Xehanorts. The Xehanort characters, they know. They know. They're like, okay, Sora.
Zigbar basically told us flat out how the game is going to end, like at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, straight up. Like there's a lot of foreshadowing, and on top of that, I was also going to talk about like KH3's Disney World importance. We can't sit here and pretend one of the biggest characters to ever be revealed in Kingdom Hearts in the last like decade plus in Yozora wasn't revealed in Toy Box. Like he wasn't shown off in Toy Box. They used Toy Box to show us, to basically bring back Versus 13. Like think about that. That's going to hold some significance in the future. Trust me. Like if we see Toy Box again, shoot, that might be how we get to that world. But
Just imagine like the lingering will is first hinted at or revealed in like Beast Castle.
yeah, it's like that's a pretty cool thing to happen. But you know, I get it because that theoretically could happen anywhere. Theoretically, it could. That's what some people might say. So like, you know, moving the combo like a little bit from just Kingdom Hearts 3, the whole thing with Disney Worlds in Kingdom Hearts is that I do think a lot of people, especially fans who have grown up with the series, a lot of us were like kids, maybe like young teenagers when we got into Kingdom Hearts, and you know, we're more. This is during a better-ish era of Disney. You know, like some people, early Kingdom Hearts games covered a lot of Renaissance movies. You know, we were in the Disney post-Renaissance / early 2010s era when a lot of people played these Kingdom Hearts games. And this is an era of Disney that isn't as controversial as the Disney we have now. Is debatably a lot more consistent, quote unquote, than the Disney some people like now. Nowadays, people associate Disney with a lot of negative thoughts. You know, you think of like live action, you think of mass layoffs, you think about a lot of things. Every single time I make a video about Disney, every single time I make a video about Disney, someone comments on my video, "Oh, they're gonna make Kingdom Hearts woke," and I'm like, "What are you talking about, bro?" And I'm just like, I don't know, dog. But anyways, it's just Disney comes with a lot of negativity nowadays, and some people think Kingdom Hearts is like the good part of them. I mean, a lot of people don't even consider Kingdom Hearts Disney. A lot of people are like, Kingdom Hearts is a Square Enix property, which it 100% is, but it is also a Disney one, and it's a Square Enix property that is still heavily influenced by Disney. Square Enix does all the story; they do most of the gameplay. Disney has helped a little more recently with games like Kingdom Hearts 3, and depending on some worlds in previous games, they've also like aided a little bit in terms of like marketing toward like closer to release windows specifically. Um, and just helping with worlds. Like they helped a lot with the Toy Box world as they revealed in the Kingdom Hearts 3 Ultimania, and they've had entire like interviews talking about how Pixar worked with Nomura and the team on bringing that world to life in Kingdom Hearts 3 and making these worlds look as good as they are. Disney was a big part of that. So they do have a role, but not the role that people care about the absolute most, or that maybe hardcore fans care about the absolute most, which is story and general gameplay. Like, if an organization member ain't getting far in a Disney World, it ain't important, which is a meme I like to say sometimes, because I do feel like sometimes people associate, like what I said with Yazora earlier, some people just associate, like, just seeing another character that's not a Disney character in the world as, like, importance. Kingdom Hearts 3's worlds, I do think, provide more, I do definitely think provide more overall, like, relevance to the actual narrative than any world in the series, or, like, most worlds in the series since Kingdom Hearts 1. Kingdom Hearts 1 obviously was the first time we did it, and everything is fresh and new. Everything feels super important because, like, at this point in the series, it's not a routine for Sora to go to Disney World. It's not a routine for Sora to, you know, lock the keyhole. It's not a routine for Sora to, you know, see a random organization member and, you know, play the whole cat and mouse game with them. It's not a routine yet, so it feels fresh, it feels new, and it feels like, okay, hon, this every step I'm taking forward matters. Me saving Pinocchio in this world, like, matters. I mean, Riku's in this world too. And Kingdom Hearts 2, as much as I love Kingdom Hearts 2, and Kingdom Hearts 2 has some amazing Disney worlds. Tron, Timeless River. I do like Beauty and the Beast's world in KH2. The excuse for KH2's world was just looking for Riku and King Mickey. And for all the worlds, we didn't really get much of that at all, aside from Mulan. Mulan's second visit, we got a slight little tease, like a little
We
tease.
actually run Riku in that world, but he hides himself.
Yeah, like we got the tiniest tease in like this 20-minute world of Riku, and it was in the second visit, and no other world does that. But in Kingdom Hearts 2, like, you have this big thing going on with the organization, and, you know, it's like we're not really, I don't know, we're not progressing towards it too much. But I mean, I think that
when it comes to the KH2 worlds, yeah, they were looking for Riku and King Mickey in those worlds, but I don't know. It's a couple of them. It didn't really seem like that was even really the main thing with them visiting. Right? They may ask. They asked in. I know they asked in Pride Lands, and they asked in.
Christmas Town as well, they ask. I only remember because I just, like, recently finished that world on stream.
Oh yeah, at the very end.
Yeah, Sora asked Santa at the
very
end,
do you know where Riku is?
Riku?
Which, by the way, Santa's freaking lying through his teeth. He absolutely. Okay, there's no way Santa did.
Now, the funny line in Christmas Town is, if you believe in Riku, you'll find him. What does that mean, bro? Like, you're... if I believe in Riku...
Like, dog, like, he has to be physically somewhere. Just let me know, and then I can go there.
Yeah, it's hilarious, dude.
But like I said, Kingdom Hearts 2, its saving grace was the matching the theme. Because there's two things I look at as far as criteria goes for if a Disney World is a good input with the game's plot. Does it match the themes relevant to the overall of the story? And does it include something that gives some sort of that sort of progresses the plot forward in some way? And to be completely fair, simply an organization member showing up, saying something, and then leaving, I don't count that.
Yeah,
because that's basically like, hey, they're here, but they're not doing anything. Like, yeah. Well, then what's the point? So you look at someone like Demix in Olympus. No, not really, because it wasn't really explained what he was doing in Olympus. He makes some hints towards Roxas, but it's stuff that we already knew.
I mean,
Like
like
it
it's a little bit
wasn't.
of the same thing KH3 does. The organization members are playing the cat and mouse game of messing with Sora in these worlds. Sora has to fix what they mess with in the worlds and then leave. Like the rest of the worlds in Kingdom Hearts 2 are like okay, this don't get me wrong. I love Maleficent and P in Kingdom Hearts. They are semi-important characters. Maleficent, I actually do think is going to be very important in the future. I love Maleficent. Like, whether you think she's important or not, I don't even actually care, if I'm being honest. Like, she's just fun. Maleficent's just a fun character. But if we're playing the whole, like, canon game and story game, Maleficent and Pete are definitely filler in KH2, bro. They're
Oh, they are.
100% filler. Like, why is Pete in, like, every world, bro? I fought this dude. I've seen this dude, like, 5 worlds straight in, like, the first visits of KH2. It's like, what was this man doing? He's
Like
not like.
she was so unimportant in Kingdom Hearts 2. They relegated her to being on a real estate quest.
I mean, like she's cool in Cage 2. It was super cool seeing Maleficent, like kind of team up with us at the end of Cage. Like that's sick when you know like the first villain has to team up. Like when you have to team up against a greater evil with like the hero. I've always loved that story dynamic. It's always so sick to me. I love that thing in media. Cage 2 does a lot of good things. Like it does a lot of good things with its worlds. I think you make a lot of really good friends in those worlds. One of the reasons Space Paranor's or Tron is one of my favorite worlds is because they actually integrated that story so uniquely into the narrative. It's just hard to not like appreciate it. Also, Sora, I think, has one of the most genuine friendships with Tron compared to like everyone else in like these Disney worlds. Tron, Hercules are two characters that I feel like if they were just straight up party members in Kingdom Hearts, like Donald and Goofy, like it wouldn't even be weird. You know what I mean? Like if they were party members in the way where they travel to every world with us, it just wouldn't even be weird. They're just that cool. They're that close. They're homies like that. I want to transition the topic a little bit from just Cage 3 versus Cage 2 Disney Worlds or Cage 1 and talk a little bit about like what exactly made Kingdom Hearts 1's worlds so good and why why let's talk a little bit more about the nuances and why people do actually feel this way. We talked about it a little bit, but people are generally getting a little older now. Disney isn't like the most favorable thing to everyone. Yeah, they're still making billion-dollar movies, even with some of their animated movies. Kids still love them for sure, but like a lot of Kingdom Hearts fans, there's definitely a lot of kids in the fan base. There's definitely a lot of people getting into the franchise that are newer. I see them all the time in my chats, in my streams, in my comments. A lot of people who got into the series via the collections, all-in-one collections, and are like teenagers nowadays. But there's definitely like a big like 50, 60, maybe even like 70% of the fan base that has been around for a decent bit now, you know? Like they've been around for quite a while. They know they've been playing these games. They're not as into Disney anymore. They don't only care about Disney World. They as time has gone on, Nomura's goal with Disney, with Final Fantasy has been successful. His original plan with Final Fantasy, especially, and with Disney, was to boost these Kingdom Hearts characters. Characters like Sora, Riku, and Kairi couldn't stand on their own yet. Remember, they wanted to make a character that could be as iconic as Mario back in the day. Now, obviously, Sora isn't as iconic as Mario, but, you know, it's kind of full circle that he gets to shake his hand and smash now. But, we're at a point where Sora is one of the most popular video game characters, period. After 20 plus years of Kingdom Hearts, Sora is one of the most popular characters. These characters are recognizable. They stand out on their own. Like you could probably sell a game with just Sora and it'll probably still sell like 2-3 million copies. You know what I mean? Like these characters are popular and some people want more of what they see as Kingdom Hearts, which is like Sora, Riku, Kairi, in Hollow Bastion, fighting the organization the world never was. Think about like Sora and Riku fighting Xemnas at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, or think about I don't know, like the Keyblade Graveyard segment in Kingdom Hearts 3, the Days True reuniting. Like some of the most iconic moments in Kingdom Hearts don't have a lot of Disney in them. You know what I mean? So how do you feel about like that? Like people wanting, like, do you feel like that's an understandable perspective?
I mean, Yeah, I definitely think that. I mean, there's always going to be people that just want to get to like the end of a game. They want to skip all the Disney stuff because they're like, oh well, we know that states that what like you really start moving the plot heavily once you finish all the Disney. Like that's tradition. That has always been the case in KH1. There's no discussion about that.
Yeah.
But I think like I said, what makes it more bearable is if you start unraveling the overall plot throughout the Disney worlds. That way it seems more like a, how do I put it? Like it's less of do side plot or do Disney filler till the plot blows up in your face, and more of start uncovering all the little secret tidbits until you get the full picture at the end.
I like that perspective. I didn't think about it like that fully before, but you're definitely right because I do think with Disney Worlds, one of the things they do offer narratively at least is the overall themes and messages of Disney Worlds are always almost always tied into the full game. Disney Worlds often can like when you like you said when you start unraveling the plot of these like stories. Kingdom Hearts 3 being a lot about love and sacrifice. Kingdom Hearts 2 because you know Sora's missing his friends. A lot of the Disney Worlds in Kingdom Hearts 2 are about bonds and friendship. Um, like I love that aspect of Kingdom Hearts, and I don't want it to go away because what would you replace it with realistically? Now, some people think that if they remove Disney, they would replace it with more lore, more story. But let's talk about other RPGs for a second. Um, Other RPGs, other action type games. Now, while there's not that much that's super comparable to Kingdom Hearts, if I'm being honest,
Final
um,
Fantasy VII Rebirth is a good one to look at.
yeah, other Final Fantasy games are definitely the best. But when you look at like other Final Fantasy games, and look at something like Chrono Trigger, when you look at I don't know, when you look at some of these other RPGs, it's when major story isn't happening, you're getting a little trickle throughout the whole game. Which Disney World, I do think Disney Worlds do provide a trickle like narrative throughout the whole game. But other RPGs, they usually replace these things with like or not replace. This is what they normally do, but this is what Kingdom Hearts would likely replace it with. It's usually like side quest or little events throughout the game. Maybe a lot more like just general gameplay segments.
Or like on your way to like the main plot stuff, you have to take detours, which takes you down this whole little side plot that seems completely irrelevant when you look at it. Like,
Yeah.
I brought up Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, right? When you look at Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, can you honestly tell me looking when you go to Gold Saucer during Rebirth, will that have anything to do with the Temple of the Ancient at the end? No, the hell it will not.
Now, I mean, there's to be honest, and now I haven't played Rebirth, but I have played OGFF7 and Remake. I have not played Rebirth yet. I know. I'm sorry, but
What?
I, I know. But look, I know what generally happens at the Gold Saucer. Not in Rebirth specifically, but I imagine it's not that different from what I've been told. Well, so y'all can tell me down in the comment section. But from what I know about what happens in the Gold Saucer in like the original game, I feel like a lot of people would probably say yes, these things are important because you know the emotional like aspect of it, or like you know the when you they're basically like thinking like inside the character's head like a little bit of head canons if I'm being honest, but at the same time it's not really head canon. It's just like it's layers, it's layering. For some people, just like more emotional stuff that goes on in Kingdom Hearts doesn't matter as much as like the cool stuff that happens, like slicing through multiple buildings in Cage 2, freaking Sora fighting 1,000 Heartless at one time, Sora and Riku taking on Xemnas and comboing him to oblivion, like you know, at the end of the
Well,
game.
the,
Like
the
to some
the
people,
reason people would consider Gold Saucer to be important is because there's two visits uh, to Gold Saucer, and like well, the first one can be considered not as plot important, but people still consider it to be important only because it does a decent amount of character building for a couple of the characters, namely Barrett.
Exactly. And it's like,
Right.
because it's the idea that adding more emotion, that adding more emotion to a character, or adding more like emotional attachment between like like in a dynamic between two characters, will make a scene later in the game, hit a lot more. This analogy can be like used for how all the themes of love and sacrifice in Kingdom Hearts 3 aid to Sora, kind of coming to the realization that, wait, Kyrie's freaking everything. I mean, obviously he already knows he likes Kyrie, that he'll do anything for her and his friends. But it's like, when you see him go through all these like flashbacks of what he saw in Disney World when Kyrie is saving him, that all of that, like, for someone like me who's obsessed, it's like all that aids to the final scene when Sora sacrifice himself. And there's no doubt in Sora's head. There's no, like, unlike when all the Guardians died and he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to do without his friends. In this moment, he is certain. And in Remind, it carries to our Remind. He is certain. He knows exactly what he wants to do. He wants to save Kyrie, and he will do anything possible to do it. That's why Riku, even though Riku knows my boy's making a bad decision, I am not stopping him, because Riku knows, he sees in Sora's face that there's no stopping him. We're just gonna have to
Well,
fix it.
yeah, there's this whole thing that because this is literally a part of like a video essay I'm working on, but more or less there's this idea in Kingdom Hearts that once your heart makes a decision and it's set on that, it's kind of immoral to for someone to not go with their heart's decision.
Yeah,
It's really considered like it's kind of like a taboo act to do that, right? So when um
your mind's made up.
Maleficent and Pete were fighting off the Heartless to give Sora and everyone time to confront Xemnas, Mickey was like, "All right, let's." Was, but Mickey's like, "No, their hearts have already decided to do this. We'd be in the wrong to stop them." So and obviously Riku knew what the consequences were if Sora were to go through with it. But the idea by the time Sora did that at the end of the game was, and it kind of just goes full circle with what Donald says right before the war actually starts, and he says, "You're a whole pint by yourself," because normally when Guardians initially fell, Sora, viewing himself as not that important or not as important as everyone else, or someone that is dependent on other people, can't do stuff on his own, save for a few rare exceptions. Uh, Sora is now realizing I can do this stuff on my own. I am capable of letting myself do these problems on my own. Things look rough. I can't just give up because he saw what did for him. He stood against an entire storm of Heartless just to prove to Sora you don't give up, even when things look their worst.
Exactly.
So Sora took that as initiative to be like, you know what, I can stand on my own. I am a full pint.
Yeah, and I love these little things that Kingdom Hearts does, and the reason we mention these things is because Disney, like the Disney worlds, do aid towards this. A lot of Sora's character development is in Disney worlds, honestly. Like, most of his development is in Disney worlds, and I actually want other characters to visit Disney worlds so they can maybe like get a little bit more of that themselves as well. Imagine how much Kyrie would benefit from Disney worlds. Like, it would characterize her so much, because we know
Shout
a
out
lot
Kingdom Hearts
about.
Reconnect.
Yeah, watch Noah's Reconnect video. We have a lot, like, we know about Kyrie in relation to her, like, in Sora, like her dynamic with Sora. But Kyrie personally, we know a little bit about, but not like not like an extreme degree, not to the extent I think like we can say, okay, we know exactly what Sora would do in this situation, or Riku, or even Aqua, Terra, Ventus. But Kairi, it's like, what? I don't know. Like how does Kairi's brain work when it comes to making decisions? When it comes to making a hard choice? Like, is she someone to fold under pressure, or is she someone to like reach for the stars just to try and like chase after Sora? Like, we don't have full answers to those questions, and I would love to see Kairi just characterized a bit more, because I think it would just make her a lot more likable. I think already Kairi's a really likable character, and most of Kairi's frustration from fans comes from her general lack of screen time. Because like most people want to like Kairi. Like, she's one of the most popular characters in the series, despite her only really being in like 3 to 4 games. When you really think about it, like, she's only really in numbered titles plus a little bit of Birth by Sleep. Like, that's the majority of her screen time in the Kingdom Hearts series. And when you put it into perspective that way, you start thinking to yourself, wait, before KH3, we basically saw nothing of Kairi for 10 years. So, yeah. Uh, Anyways, though, another topic I wanted to talk about regarding Disney. I love a lot of the points you made. Like, I also want to kind of dial it back a little bit. We talked about the narrative. We talked about being Disney maybe being a little too old for some fans nowadays. They're just not as into it, so they want more mature themes, like more Final Fantasy, more Kingdom Hearts stuff, more original Kingdom Hearts stuff. I think something that I know not that many people are going to agree with. Like, it might sound like a little wild, because this is a story series to a lot of people, but sometimes it's okay to just have fun with the gameplay. I don't mean that as in you have to just accept slop. I mean that as in, one of the reasons I like Disney Worlds isn't because of like the story themes. Like, my excitement as a kid for potential Disney Worlds and Kingdom Hearts, and I've made videos about this. I've talked about this a lot in live streams. It wasn't always just, okay, how are they going to involve the narrative in this world? Like the worlds aren't only tools for the narrative. As someone who did grow up with a lot of these movies, who does watch some of these newer movies now, I fantasize so much about the potential of like a Star Wars in Kingdom Hearts, the potential of like a Moana in Kingdom Hearts, and not just because of the narrative, but because I think the world will be beautiful. The form changes could be so unique. The Heartless, the vibe, the music. It's the X factor that Kingdom Hearts has. And if you take that X factor away, I do kind of think it's nowhere near as unique. Like, yeah, it'll be, you still have like unique themes, like about like the way Kingdom Hearts decides to tell its story about the heart is a little unique to it. Like the convoluted nature of like nobodies and heartless and final world, like there's a lot of specifics about Kingdom Hearts we can go into. The Keyblade's a big specific. Like, Kingdom Hearts has unique properties outside of Disney, but Disney really is a big X factor. Like, as much as I love Hollow Bastion, as much as a lot of the original worlds are my favorite Kingdom Hearts worlds, the Disney worlds contrasting with them is what Kingdom Hearts is. Like, think about that cutscene in Olympus with Cloud just walking past Soradon and Goofy. You're in freaking Olympus. You're in Hercules world. You're in the world for the movie Hercules, and freaking Cloud just makes a cameo appearance like next to Vincent. Cloud's having this whole conversation with Hades. You're having this whole deep conversation in front of Olympus Coliseum from the Disney movie with Cloud about finding your light, and not losing sight of like your light in your heart and stuff. And that's from freaking Cloud, bro. Sephiroth has a boss battle in that world. Freaking, I don't know. There's a lot of like tiny things that like Kingdom Hearts has, like with these little cameos like they do with Final Fantasy characters and Disney characters. There's a lot of like little moments that you see in Disney worlds, like Mickey freaking getting, or like Mickey being choked by Xemnas. There's like random stuff, just super random stuff. That's so fun. It's what makes Kingdom Hearts unique. It's what makes Kingdom Hearts like kind of just different. It stands out among RPGs, and it always has and always will be because of that factor, in my opinion. So I don't mean this to say story doesn't matter, but it's not the only thing that matters. Fun does too. Like the Disney worlds, in my opinion, are genuinely fun. Like they're really fun. Not every world is the greatest. There's some worlds I don't like. Even in Kingdom Hearts 3, like there's a world I'm a little mediocre on. Like I like San Fran, but I think San Fran's probably my least favorite world in Kingdom Hearts 3, at least as of right now. Um, I'm not that crazy about that world. There's plenty of worlds in the series I'm not crazy about. So it can definitely hit or miss. But shoot, when a Disney World is good, when it's fun, like it's memorable. The music is so memorable. Like remember that first time we flew in Neverland in Kingdom Hearts 1 and freaking Sora's first thought is just like, yo, I can't wait to like tell Kyrie about this. Like I really flew. Like that stuff, I love that. It's so good. And I don't want that to go away, like ever. Not. I don't want them to trade it for like really anything, because yeah, the series is growing up, it's maturing as well, like, and we are seeing it maturing in different ways. They have focused even more on the lore, on the narrative, as Kingdom Hearts games as progressed. Like even since Kingdom Hearts 1 had a relatively simpler story. Kingdom Hearts 2 dived a little bit deeper into some of its convoluted elements with like nobodies and the real Ansem and how Xemnas necessarily came to be. And then, you know, you obviously have the non-number tiles, which are just like crazy with lore and theories and stuff. And Kingdom Hearts 3 is like a culmination of all those things. So Kingdom Hearts 3, when Kingdom Hearts 3 does give you story, it can't go light with it, which I feel like is a big reason why they did do a lot of stuff towards the ending, because there was so much to catch up Sora on that if he like confronted like early on in the game, he just straight up like the interaction would have had less value, because he wouldn't have known certain things. He wouldn't have known about like Ventus being inside of his heart when he saved Aqua, going to the land departure without that Vanitas cutscene. Like the organization wouldn't have gotten Shion in the organization without all the moments that happened in Toy Box. It's like these events and these moments, even if they're tiny, even if they could be replaced with something else, it's freaking sick, bro, that they used a puppet analogy from Toy Box to bring Shion back. Like, that's sick to me. I love that. Maybe I'm, like, alone in thinking that that's cool, but...
Honestly, I think because you were bringing up Kingdom Hearts 1, and I think one of the main things for me with how Kingdom Hearts 1 handled things differently from all the other games was the fact that the main villains, unlike all other Kingdom Hearts games, were Disney villains. So when you went to those Disney worlds, like, it didn't matter too much about if you saw like Riku or Kairi, or hints of Ansem in those worlds, because you knew that you were taking care of one of Maleficent's lackeys, right? You knew that you were making progress. You don't hit that point until Agrabah, but everyone agrees that Agrabah is basically the halfway point or the turning point of the game, because you start really making progress towards everything and the overall plot once you hit Agrabah, because that's where you take out Jafar, who is Maleficent's right hand, and also when Riku kidnaps Jasmine, making it clear that Riku is now working with Maleficent.
Yeah.
And then obviously in the very next world, you go to Monstro, then that's where the lines have been drawn between Sora and Riku during that game.
Yep. When you think about it, so like what happens with the Disney characters, because you're absolutely right, those Disney characters, those Disney villains are a big reason why it feels so important, because they kind of involve the Disney villains into the narrative a little bit, or rather they use the Disney villains to introduce you to Sora, to make Sora feel like a threat. And every single like cutscene after a Disney World, you see one of the Disney villains like, all right, time for me to take him, gets cooked. All right, no, I got this, I'll cook him this time, gets cooked. But you know what I mean. That's the routine. That's the slight routine in KH1. But
Sora just goes, boy, sit down.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like really... the Disney villains are talking about the lore and the keyhole and the Heartless. They're not necessarily just talking about their their movies in KH1. Like in Kingdom Hearts 1, some films cover like aspects of the movie, but for the most part, like a lot of them, I don't think there's a single world in Kingdom Hearts 1 that covers an entire movie. Almost all of them kind of go halfway, or it's like half movie, half like original. They're talking about the Heartless and the Keyhole. Like, so they know who Sora is. Jafar knows who Sora is, compared to like worlds later in the series. These Disney villains, they're like, who is this guy? I don't know nothing about you. Sometimes they barely even interact with them. You know what I mean? That's what makes KH1's worlds so freaking good, by the way. Like, what I was about to say though is that even in Kingdom Hearts 1, despite them doing that, and it felt important, it felt great, but I feel like the big reason it felt so good and the reason it felt so important, so substantial, was because it was the first time. At the end of Kingdom Hearts 1, all those villains are moved to the side for Ansem, like pretty much. Like it's a big reveal when Ansem comes back, and to be honest, those Disney villains basically never matter again aside from Maleficent. Like they never matter again after Ansem shows up, and Maleficent's kind of the only villain that's like still prominent after the fact, which is very fitting of Maleficent. Nomura likes Maleficent a lot, which I think is a big reason why Maleficent is able to do everything she does, because Nomura puts a lot of care into that character, or at least care into making sure she appears in these games. But yeah, after this, like the Xehanorts kind of take over, and in Kingdom Hearts 2 and even Kingdom Hearts 3, you see them go back to kind of just, okay, you know what, Maleficent, your plan didn't work. We're just gonna follow our movie scripts now. Which it didn't make for bad worlds, like necessarily. But it I don't know. I definitely feel like there is something more that I can't describe that makes Disney Worlds feel important more than just involving story narrative. Because sometimes the actual narrative doesn't really matter, but it feels like entertaining. It feels fun. It feels significant. That might be just what it is. Just I think they need to They need to make sure if a Disney World isn't giving you a crap ton of lore, that it's just entertaining as heck, dude. That is like just super fun. I know some people have an issue with worlds following like the script of movies, which actually could be our next topic. How do you feel about like movie scripts versus original stories in Disney Worlds?
I am normally not a fan of doing the original script, just
Way of
because
doing the original script, you said you're not a fan?
in a Kingdom Hearts world,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not a fan
Oh, okay.
most of the time, right? Just because I feel like in Kingdom Hearts 1, uh, I liked when the world visit felt original, where it didn't feel like I was just retreading the events of the movie, but they just slapped Sora Dawn and Goofy in there. So, like say for instance, Halloween Town, right? What happens in that world has nothing to do with what happened in Nightmare Before Christmas.
Right.
Um, and a lot of the other worlds are kind of the same, but also not, because they're essentially taking like a rough version of what happens in the plot, but then twisting it so much to where this is not the original plot.
I feel like a lot
So,
of KH1 worlds are like the first 30 minutes of the movie, and then everything else is original.
kind of, because like in Atlantica, like Ariel still steals the trident. Um, her father still lashes out of anger, just like to try and protect her, which causes her to go to Ursula. But instead of it involving Prince Eric and her wanting to be with a human on the surface, it had to do with her natural curiosity for the outside world, and her father trying to kill that curiosity, which ended up backfiring on her heavy, or backfiring on everyone heavy. And it had to do more so with the keyhole of the world. And that was honestly, even though we dog on Atlantica all the time, I absolutely love that Triton talks to Sora about being a builder visiting other worlds, because apart from like at the very end of Agrabah and near the beginning of one, they don't really talk about the idea of meddling in other worlds' affairs. Um, so they make it clear that no, these there are people in these worlds that do know the world laws, and like King Triton, they're not afraid to call Sora out when he's in clear violation of the rules.
Dude, I love stuff like that. Because imagine, like, in KH3, if they did that with Zeus or, like, the other gods. Because it's something that I definitely think they should explore more in Kingdom Hearts. I mean, not, like, deep, right? Like, I think it should just be, like, references, like, for the most part. Because they're not going to bring Zeus into, like, Keyblade Graveyard or anything, for sure. But Trident, knowing that Sora was a Keyblade wielder, it makes you think, like, okay, dude, there's probably some, like, big world, like there's a bigger world order thing where, like, not only do these Disney villains know about, like, Sora and the Keyblade and that there's other worlds, but even, like, some of the gods or, like, kings in these other Disney worlds know about, like, Sora, like these highly important characters like King Triton, like maybe a Zeus or some of the gods in Olympus, like stuff like that. I think is so sick. Like, or imagine, we I don't know, do something with Tangled Ever After in the future, like the Tangled sequels, and we, like, maybe Rapunzel's parents know about Sora some way, somehow. I don't know, like, just really cool stuff. I think, like, just it adds, like, just a tiny bit more world building to Kingdom Hearts, but I don't know how deep they'll
Well,
explore that in the
it
future.
kind of gave me this idea that the the highest people in other worlds, they do know about other worlds, right? You look at Santa Claus, Halloween Town, King Triton, uh, in Atlantica. So there are clear instances that they have shown that, like, people are aware of the outside world, but obviously because they don't have a gummy ship or they don't succumb to darkness, they don't have the of their world unless someone takes them out. But as we all know, that's a clear violation of rules.
Yeah. Personally, for me, I think I'm actually this might be weird. I'm actually fine a little bit with them using movie scripts for Kingdom Hearts games. Not most of the time though. But here's why I say I'm fine with it. Um, I do like Kingdom Hearts 3. It it kind of mostly somewhat did the movies. Like some movies, some were original, some were like movies. There's actually multiple moments in Kingdom Hearts 3 where I do think it might have been better if they low-key just did follow the script. For example, Davy Jones, right? In Davy Jones in Kingdom Hearts 3. Sick boss fight. Probably one of the best Disney bosses I think we've had aesthetically and, like, just maybe even design wise in a Kingdom Hearts game. Like, it's just a fun boss. Like, it's a really fun boss. The only thing about that boss I don't like is the ship. The ship is kind of annoying to traverse through, but that fight was still sick. I loved fighting Davy Jones as both a Pirates fan and just, as a fan of, like, Kingdom Hearts. It was just a fun boss. But let's look at, like, a world like San Fran, for example, or let's also talk about Toy Box in a second. Um, San Fran did an original plot with two Baymaxes. Baymax, Dark Baymax came back, and they made this unique boss fight. Now, they should have done this boss a lot better, but this is actually one of the biggest reasons I don't like San Francisco. The story, I think, is good. The interactions, I think, is good. The boss fight at the end, instead of, maybe doing a more traditional Disney boss fight, they went with this, like, original, like, dark, like, well, they went with this, like, dark Baymax sort of concept, with the cubes, and the fight sucked. That fight sucked. Like, you're stuck in, like, this team attack the whole fight. You're especially on critical mode level 1. There's no point in actually pressing X. You're just holding R2, shooting him constantly until his health eventually goes down. It's shoot dodge, shoot dodge. Like, I'm playing this is a gummy ship boss, and, like, as a world final boss, it's not that fun. And I think it would have been better if they did do something a little bit more similar to the movie perhaps, or just made the boss better itself. Toy Story. I've talked to a lot of friends who actually don't like Toy Box. Toy Box for me personally is one of my favorite worlds in the franchise, but I know a lot of people who don't like Toy Box because of Gigas or because they felt like it wasn't Toy Story. Like Andy's house is like the best part of the world to some people, and they felt like, okay, Galaxy Toys, I mean, it's a toy store, but like this isn't really Toy Story. This isn't Sid's backyard or like the toy barn or anything like that. It's like sometimes the benefits of making a story of like just following the movie script is that you actually get more notable areas from the movie. Imagine like a Zurg boss fight over King of Toys. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that I do think matters. Or for example, for a Star Wars world in the future, they're likely going to cover like the script for Star Wars, or at least the script for Return of the Jedi, or whatever movie they choose. Imagine if they didn't do that, and instead of me fighting Darth Vader or Emperor Palpatine, I'm fighting some freaking heartless amalgamation of a stormtrooper. Like that's whack. You know what I mean? It's like I I think it's important to also fight and to also see some of the iconic moments from these films in the world. But I think they could do both, and they just have to kind of pick the right option. Like have most of the story be original, like in Kingdom Hearts 1, but still give me a Jafar boss fight at the end. Have most of the story be original, like in Kingdom Hearts 1, and still give me that Captain Hook boss fight, you know? But I think it's definitely easier for them to like do stuff like that. Maybe in Cage they just wanted to be unique and do a bunch of heartless fights, which I still liked. I like the heartless fights. Okay, heartless fights are cool. I want them to stay. We need those still. But man, if I swear, if I don't fight Darth Vader and I fight some like heartless possessed version of him that turns into a giant monster, I might lose it. Like that might be it for me.
Now, I personally, I've mentioned this before, I need the Wasteland to show up in Kingdom Hearts 4.
From Epic Mickey,
And
right?
that, yes, from Epic Mickey, and that needs to be the way we get to Disney Worlds in Kingdom Hearts 4. Because I just think that would be so amazing to not only pay homage to a lot of the more classic Disney characters that don't really appear all too much. I know some of them do appear in Timeless, but there are a lot of areas in the Wasteland in Epic Mickey that are just based off of really cool ideas and concepts from Disney that just have not been explored in Kingdom Hearts yet. And I know Kingdom Hearts is trying to go towards this newer age stuff when it comes to Disney, but still pay homage to the classics. And not only that, but Oswald. Let Oswald show up. If I remember correct, some stuff came out about Kingdom Hearts Fragmented Keys. We don't know what that is. That was a canceled phone game that was going to be like a Kingdom Hearts spin-off. It was going to be made entirely by Disney with no involvement. And there was going to be concept worlds like Star Wars in there. And I think I saw concept art of Oswald for that game. So, Oswald in Kingdom Hearts is a possibility.
Yeah. I think Quadrom's the best time to put Oswald in straight up because it writes itself, dude. The other side, Oswald, for those that don't know, Oswald was actually created before Mickey even was, but Mickey just ended up being way more popular. There was a lot of other reasons, but let's make that the main reason. Mickey ended up being more popular and just used way more. For a while, Disney just didn't even want to use Oswald either.
Technically, Oswald was owned by, I believe, Universal.
Yeah, Oswald wasn't even fully owned by, like, there was some copyright stuff with Oswald and Disney.
So yeah, if it like Oswald was the first mascot that Disney made, but he was he was owned by Universal. And so when you look at the lore of Epic Mickey, lore, Oswald and Mickey are considered half brothers because they share the same father in Walt Disney, but their mothers, who are the companies that produce them, are different.
Yeah, and I think with Quadratum, this writer story, the other Oswald should be like Mickey in Quadratum, straight up. Like let's just make Oswald one of like our characters and introduce him as Mickey's alternative or whatever. You know, like that would be peak. I think people will pop off at that. With that though, I think that wraps it up. I think that was a good episode. How you feeling?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we were chilling, we were vibing. Apologies on my end if there was any like cutting out here and there. I don't fully know what's going on with Discord, but most of what was being said was like being fully picked up. But if you guys heard any like weird stuff happen with the audio, because I'm looking over at the audio mixer, that might be why. I don't know. Let me know about it in this, and I'll try to make sure it doesn't happen a little more in the next episode. But thank you guys a lot for coming out today. We're trying to make this podcast a little bit more consistent. I know me and Noir are both very busy people, so we record this when we can. Most of the podcasts you guys see are record like late at night because we're done with everything we did throughout the day. We're gonna be back pretty soon with the next episode. We have a missing link episode we're gonna be doing coming up soon with a special guest. That I hope you guys enjoy as well. But with that, thank you guys a lot for coming out to today's podcast episode. My name is Prodigy.
My name's Noir Lil Bomber.
And remember to be nice, be safe, and take care, everyone. We'll see you soon.